What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today, apparently there is a new definition for pack fresh that I was unaware of. I was tagged in a reply on a post on Twitter. MKG Sports Cards is on X, Twitter, whatever. To the best of my knowledge, was the first one to kind of discover this. This is just like, it feels like it's almost a weekly reminder at this point that, one, if you're buying a higher end raw card that is not like a set that's just released within the last week or two, do your due diligence. If you're buying a serial numbered card, do your due diligence. If it's an expensive raw card that is months after release, ask some questions. And this one's not as egregious as some that we see, but a little disingenuous by the seller here, at least in my opinion. And let me lay things out and then we'll kind of get into it. This Skeens Bowman Draft Chrome Prospect Auto Blue Refractor sold in, I believe it was December. Yep, December 18th. PSA 8. Respectable grade. Probably was sad about it. Sold it. Went for $860. Just this week, it turns up again. Different seller. Sold raw for $995. That's a whole other conversation. Maybe we'll get into that here in the back half of this video. Here's where people got upset about this. Pack fresh. Interesting. Pack fresh, huh? Maybe it should say slab fresh. And, let me lay this out here. This person selling it might not have been the person that bought it and cracked it. December to March is an eternity in the card world. This thing could have changed hands 5 times before it got to this person. So I'm not saying this person cracked it out of the 8, but this person definitely knew this was not a pack fresh card. Regardless of where they got it, this was not a pack fresh card because they did not pull it from a pack. Now, maybe they have a different definition than pack fresh than I do. Is what it is. So, like I said, reminder, if you are buying high-end raw or medium end, once again, high-end is relative, make sure you are checking around on stuff before you commit. In theory, this card should be in PSA's database as a PSA 8, so it's probably going to be pretty hard not to get that same grade. Now, different angle on this is, the PSA 8 sold for $860. Not much has changed in the Skeens market from December till now. Maybe things are up slightly, sure, but it's not like it's gone to the moon. What do you think about a raw outselling a PSA 8 by $200? That part seems wild to me. And we've talked about this before, how PSA 9s basically sell for less than raw now in a lot of cases. The hopes and dreams of what a raw card could be are really what keep the grading companies in business. The fact that an 8 sells for this much less than raw, in my opinion, back in my day, when this, before the sports card market went nutty, an 8 would basically be raw value. If it was a PSA 8 and you were comping it out, this is assuming ultra modern, not vintage or modern, or not some like super crazy condition sensitive card like a SP foil Jeter or something along those lines. But generally speaking, an 8 would be considered raw. Okay, makes sense. It's got like a few little things here and there. It's a known quantity. It is a perfectly fine card. It might be a little off-centered. It might have a little white on a corner. Maybe it has both of those things going on. Whatever the case might be. But it's still relatively a very nice card. It's a PSA 8. It's near mint. You know, it's perfectly fine. But, and at the same time, a PSA 9 would give you a slight premium. I remember making videos all the time. You would talk about PSA submissions, and you would say, listen, you break even on your 9s. Okay? You send your cards in, you break even on the 9s. You usually get a little premium above slab cost. So if the card raw sold for $100, and a PSA 9 would go for maybe 115, 120, 125. You get an ever so slight premium, usually after eBay fees and grading fees. You would end up netting out, you know, maybe $1 or $2, maybe you lose $1 or $2, but it didn't kill you. You'd make a couple bucks, you might lose a couple bucks, but you weren't getting crushed. And then a PSA 10 would obviously have a big multiplier on it. Today, that's no longer the case. I mean, we can see it right here. A PSA 8 is selling well below raw. PSA 9s, in a lot of cases, are selling below raw. Not a huge margin. And PSA 10s still have their multiplier, though the PSA 10 multiplier is less than what it used to be. And people are baffled by this. And the problem really comes down to this. There's so much of this nonsense floating around anymore that you know, when you have a billion different options to choose from, and there's a ton of graded population out there on a lot of these cards, or alternative choices to go to, because if you don't have the blue refractor, you have a green refractor, or a Mojo refractor, or this refractor, or that refractor, and if it's not the Bowman one, then you have Bowman Sapphire, and then, you know, you have this, and you have that. There's a billion options out there for you. So everything's getting spread around a lot more as well. And raw is getting the premium because raw is unknown. It's a mystery. We don't know what it is. What could it be? That could be a PSA 10. Ooh. It could be a PSA 11. Who knows what that could possibly be? It could also be a PSA 6. It could also be, this card's been graded by 5 other grading companies already. But the allure, the mystery, the illusion of what's behind the curtain of the raw card, what it could be, the potential for profit. People are willing to risk it and pay the premium for it. I never thought I would see a day where you are, if you get a PSA 9 back, as shady as this is, you're better off to crack it out and sell it raw than sell it in a PSA 9 holder. I can't make this stuff up, folks. So, pack fresh does not mean what you think it does anymore. And I guess raw over everything except for a PSA 10, at least on modern and ultra modern. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below in the wild and wonderful hobby that we've all chose to spend our time and money in. Catch you on the next one. Peace.